The alien girl was homeless until he said, "My daughter needs a mother." Please like, share, and subscribe to receive the latest HFY stories. Ethan wedged the welding torch into the cracked coolant line, thumb steady on the trigger. The hiss flared sharp, blue-white sparks showering the deck like angry stars. His visor reflected the glow, but behind it his eyes stayed locked on the fracture. "Jax, you reading pressure?" he muttered into the headset. "Holding at 82, Cole. Keep it smooth." He eased the beat along, metal glowing orange, then cooling to dull silver. 3 weeks ago, the same decks had screamed different. The flare hit without warning, plasma slamming the hulls like a tidal wave of fire. Comms exploded. "Shuttle Bay 3, shields failing. Repeat, failing." Sarah's voice cut through, calm at first. "Ethan, reroute auxiliary." Then the line warped, her shuttle twisting in the blaze, hull peeling open in molten ribbons. Alarms shrieked red, vents burst air in explosive gas. 3 lives gone before the station even stabilized. Ethan finished the seal now, torch clicking off. The line held. No leaks, no ghosts. He climbed the access shafts, boots ringing on rungs, toolkit banging his thigh. Level 42 corridor curved tight, recyclers humming that familiar drone. Pod hatch slid open with a soft whoosh. 2 rooms crammed with life. Viewport framed the indigo planet in lazy swirls, clouds drifting like slow bruises. Mia lay sprawled on the lower bunk, 7 years old, one arm dangling off the edge, fingers brushing a toy shuttle tipped on its side. Blankets twisted around her legs. The air carried stale oxygen, and the faint chill of synth meal packs left too long in the dispenser. "Hey, Sleepy, you crash-landed again," Ethan whispered, kneeling to right the shuttle. He tucked the blanket up, her hair tickling his knuckles. She sighed in her sleep, small fist curling around the toy. Door chime. Soft ping. Then again, insistent. He thumbed the panel. Hatch opened to Kaya Nerl. Silver blue skin, shimmering under corridor strips, duffel slung low. Nora's hand swallowed in hers. The girl peeked out, eyes round as hull portholes. "Ethan Cole, certified domestic tech. Refugee queues are endless. I clean, cook, mind your daughter. You give us floor space. Temporary, please." Ethan scratched the stubble on his jaw, glanced at the cluttered galley counter. "Floor space, huh? Step in before the cams flag overtime." They crossed the threshold, hatch sealed with a pneumatic sigh. Nora's gaze darted to the toy shuttles, then the photo cube on the shelf. She edged closer, small fingers reaching. Elbow clipped the edge. Crash. The cube hit the deck, crystal face spiderwebbing with a sharp snap. Sarah's image flickered inside, warped and dim. I didn't mean..." Nora's voice cracked, hands flying to her mouth. Kaya dropped the duffel, knelt swift. "Nora, breathe. It's all right." Ethan crouched, scooped the cube gentle. Belt tools flipped open. Resin applicator, micro probe glowing faint blue. "Things break. We just patch them different." Sealant beaded out slow, tracing every fracture. Heat pulse set it. The web faded, image stabilizing. Warped smile, but whole. He set it back on the shelf, fingers lingering a second. Kaya watched, head tilted slight. "That quiet H. It hums like an old chord. Spare bunk folds out until processing clears. Convenience, that's the deal. Shared walls weave shared hearts. Aurelian warning. But the roof's worth it? Thank you." Kaya eased the duffel open, pulled a cracked hydro tray, tiny green shoots pushing through the fissures. She set it on the galley counter. The scent of fresh herbs cut the recycled air sharp and sweet. Nora tugged a strip of glow stickers from a pocket, twin moons peeling them one by one, sticking them crooked above the bunks. Soft light bloomed, casting pale shadows. Mia stirred, rubbed her eyes. "Whoa. Moon stickers, can I have the swirly one?" Nora giggled, handed it over. "Here, it glows like the rings back home." The divider folded down with a click, turning the pod into one long space. Girls claimed opposite ends, whispers bouncing off the curved walls. Ethan hung back in the galley, sorting micro tools into their slots. Clink, clink, each sound deliberate. The giggles tugged at him, a small smile creeping despite the ache. Synth packs okay for tonight? He asked, thumbing the dispenser. 2 packs warmed with a low hum. Kaya nodded, settling Nora with a blanket. Better than refugee paste. We'll manage. They ate at the fold-out table. Small bites, quiet chews. Nora's pendant caught the glow sticker light, crystal pulsing faint whenever Kaya hummed under her breath. A low, wordless tune that eased the edges off the day. Mia yawned, mid-bite, shuttle clutch tight. Lights dimmed to orbital night cycle. Panels fading slow. Viewport filled with indigo swirls. Planet below, vast and silent. Maintenance drones drifted past outside. Red beacons blinking lazy patterns. Inside, 4 breaths synced in the pod's gentle spin. Recyclers humming, herbs scenting the air. Glow moons casting soft halos on sleeping faces. Ethan tapped the terminal last, fingers quiet on the keys. Family occupancy, +2. Status, stable. Green confirmation glowed. He leaned against the bulkhead, watching the girls across the divider. Nora's hand dangling, brushing Mia's blanket. The flare's ghost lingered in the fresh weld downstairs, but up here the air felt warmer, less hollow. Convenience. Sure. The mingled toys and blooming herbs hinted otherwise. Kaya shifted on the spare bunk, pendant settling against her collarbone. Tomorrow? Real breakfast? If you can magic roots out of that tray, deal. She smiled faint, eyes closing. The station spun on, gravity steady. 4 heartbeats in the quiet. The storm's echo fading, just a little. Ethan wiped condensation from his visor, rerouting the clogged nutrient line with a twist of his wrench. Green sludge gurgled through the pipe, clearing with a wet pop. Morning shift dragged, but the galley waited upstairs, Kaya's herbs already scenting the vents faint and green. He keyed the pod hatch. Steam rolled out from the dispenser. Kaya bent over it, silver-blue fingers portioning diced roots into sizzling pans. She glanced up, wiped a strand of hair with her wrist, smiled quick. Morning. Real food today. Roots from the tray. Sit. Ethan dropped his toolkit, rolled his shoulders loose. Smells better than paste. Girls up? Nora peeked from the bunk divider, pendant swinging as she hopped down. Mia tumbled after, hair wild, grabbing Nora's hand. Play ring! Come on! Kaya ladled portions, steam curling between them. Ethan took his plate, fork scraping ceramic. The roots crunched warm, earthy, first real bite in weeks. He chewed slow, eyes on Kaya as she hummed low, the tune threading calm through the pod. His shoulders dropped a notch, tension easing without a word. Girls bolted for the door, boots thumping. Ethan called after. Back by lunch, straight shot. The communal play ring buzzed with kids, holographic fireflies darting between curved bulkheads. Mia dragged Nora into the chase, laughter echoing sharp off the walls. Nora's skin flushed lighter blue when she laughed, pendant bouncing against her chest. Ethan returned mid-shift to find the table set, bowls steaming, herbs sprinkled fresh. He paused in the doorway, throat tightening at the sight. Kaya stirred a pot back to him, hips swaying faint to her hum. Figured you'd be hungry. Eat before it cools. He slid into the chair, spoon diving in. Flavor hit. Savory. Real. This up. Yeah, thanks. His hand brushed hers, passing the salt. She didn't pull away. Nora burst in first, cheeks glowing, thrusting a folded drawing at Ethan. 2 stick figures hand in hand under a lopsided station, shuttle circling. For you, us. Ethan took it careful, fingers tracing the crayon lines. He grabbed tape from the drawer, stuck it beside the photo cube, right next to Sarah's warped smile. Kaya watched, eyes softening, a soft thread pulling taut between them. Bedtime crept in. Girls begged from the divider. One story, please. Ethan sat on the deck edge, voice low. Brave engineer fixes a singing star. They team up, chase dark clouds away. Hands gestured wide for the clouds, girls' eyes wide. Nora leaned into Mia, both drifting off mid-tail, breaths sinking. Dark settled. Kaya whispered from her bunk, Thank you for the space. Ethan lay back, staring at the ceiling glow. Convenience, remember? But, yeah, his voice lacked the edge now, warmth creeping in. Outside the viewport, drones drifted lazy, red lights blinking. Inside, the pod hummed warmer. Herbs in the air, drawing taped proud, girls tangled in shared blankets. Ethan reached over, adjusted Nora's pendant where it had slipped. Kaya's hand brushed his in the dim. Accidental, lingering a second too long. He powered the terminal soft. Family occupancy, +2, status, stable. But the green glow felt different now. The apartment less refuge, more something building. Kaya shifted, hydro tray leaves rustling faint. Her hum started again, low and steady, easing the spin's gentle pull. Ethan closed his eyes, the day's knots unraveling, slow. Laughter still echoed in the vents, fireflies from the play ring, chasing shadows away. Morning light cycle brightened gradual. Ethan stirred first, boots hitting deck quiet. Kaya already up, portioning leftovers, roots reheated, scent pulling him over. She handed him a mug, fingers wrapping his on the handle. Shift fuel. Drink. He sipped, hot and bittersweet. You didn't have to. Wanted to. Her eyes met his, steady. Girls tumbled out, demanding play ring rematch. Nora grabbed Ethan's hand quick, tugging. Come watch us catch fireflies. She let her pull him to the door, Kaya following with a laugh soft. The corridor vents carried their footsteps, laughter bubbling ahead. Ethan glanced back, the drawing taped firm, photo cube catching light. Something settled in his chest, warm and unspoken. Play ring chaos greeted them, kids darting, holograms flickering. Mia and Nora wove through, hands linked, pendants swinging wild. Ethan leaned on the rail, arms crossed loose, smile tugging, real now. Kaya stood beside, shoulder brushing his. They're good together? Yeah, guess they are. Fireflies swirled, laughter rising. The station spun on, but here the vents carried joy instead of stale air. Ethan's hand found the rail tight, then relaxed. Gesture small but clear. Back in the pod, dinner simmered again. Kaya portioned, Ethan setting plates without ask. Nora offered another drawing, 4 figures this time. He taped it up, fingers lingering on the fresh crayon. Bedtime story flowed easier. Girls nestled close. Ethan's voice warmed the tale, hands painting stars in air. They slept quick. Divider no barrier, Kaya whispered in the dark. This feels less temporary. Ethan turned, eyes adjusting to glow moons. Maybe it's not. His hand reached across, brushing hers. Intentional this time. Drones blinked past the viewport, indifferent. Inside, herbs bloomed stronger, scents mingling with laughter's echo. The pod breathed fuller, 4 lives weaving tighter in the quiet spin. Mia bounded into the school orientation hub, hand locked with Nora's, the curved walls echoing their quick steps. Holographic displays flickered class schedules overhead, casting blue glows on clustered kids. Mia spun Nora toward a group of Aurelian tweens, chin lifted high. Hey everyone, meet Nora, my new sister. We're like a team now. The older Aurelians turned slow, eyes narrowing like targeting scopes. One smirked, arms crossing tight over his chest. Whispers rippled through them, low and sharp as vent drafts. Nora squeezed Mia's fingers harder, her silver blue skin shifting to deeper indigo, waves spreading from her neck like ink in water. She bit her lip, pendant twisting in her free hand. Torrin Dax stepped forward, taller than the rest, frost-pale face twisting in a sneer. Half-tethered freak. Bet your mom's just using that human for scraps. The words landed heavy. Nora's shoulders hunched, skin flushing even darker, a silent storm brewing under her surface. Mia's eyes flashed, small fists balling at her sides. Take it back! Mia lunged, shoving Torrin with both hands, palms slamming his chest like a bulkhead door. He staggered back, surprise flickering before his fists rose. Chaos erupted. Teachers surged from the edges, arms outstretched, whistles piercing the air like alarm klaxons. Break it up, now! One grabbed Mia's arm, gentle but firm, pulling her away as Torrin rubbed his chest, glare burning. Nora backed up, hand pressed to her flushing skin, tears pricking but held. Mia twisted in the teacher's grip, face red and defiant. Reports pinged on data slates, conflict logged, schedules flagged red. Ethan's wrist comm buzzed sharp during his nutrient line reroute, holographic summons blooming crimson in his visor. He dropped the wrench with a clang, toolkit abandoned mid-twist. Kaya, meet me at the lift. Summons hit. He sprinted corridors, boots pounding grates, recyclers humming louder in his rush. Kaya arrived breathless, duffel slung hasty over her shoulder, face drawn tight. Admin sub-level 9. The girls? Lift doors sealed them in, dropping smooth. Ethan paced the small space, fists clenching and unclenching. Kaya worried her sleeve edge, twisting it like loose cabling, eyes darting to the floor indicators. Doors parted to admin's sterile glow, desks curved like command consoles, holographic seals orbiting like sentry drones. Saren Dax loomed at the center table, tall and frost-pale, robes stiff as armor plating. Cole, narrow, emotional trespass. Protocol 17 violation. Cohabitation unregistered. Interspecies bleed unchecked. Ethan planted boots wide, arms crossing defensive. Proof, show it. Saren flicked fingers. Air shimmered, grainy feet materializing. Mia and Nora in the play ring, laughter spiking graphs red with unregulated resonance. Kaya's hand flew to her throat, calm shattering like the photocube weeks back. I, calibrated lattice nodes before to ease tensions, smooth the flow, not for this control. Her voice cracked faint, fingers digging into her palm. Commander Vale leaned on the table edge, human build solid, eyes scanning the feed critical. Hold the charges, 72 hours, fact-check delay. Saren's eyes narrowed to slits, frost deepening on his skin, but he waved dismissal. Granted, for now. The holograms winked out, leaving echoes in the air. Corridors home stretched endless, station hums amplifying each step. Ethan scanned vents overhead. Tiny motes glinted like dust in the light strips. Lattice collectors swirling invisible. He grabbed Kaya's arm light, pulling her into a side alcove. See those? They're eavesdropping on pulses, emotions, hearts. Kaya leaned close, eyes widening at the glints. Her hand covered her mouth, skin paling slight. Pod hatch sealed with a heavy click. Girls sat on the divider bunk, knees pulled up. Mia kicking her heels restless, Nora tracing patterns on her pendant, skin still tinged indigo. Kaya dropped to her knees, arms wrapping both tight in a hug. What happened out there? Mia sniffled, wiping her nose with a sleeve. Torin called her names. I shoved him. He's mean. Nora leaned into the embrace pendant clutched. It hurt, like static in my chest. Ethan rummaged his toolkit, parts spilling on the galley table. Coils, capacitors, microchips clinking. He twisted wires quick, jammer taking shape under his fingers, brow furrowed deep. This'll jam their signals. Give 'em static instead of our beats. Kaya watched over his shoulder, hand on his back steadying. The girls scooted closer, Mia's eyes wide on the device, Nora's skin lightening gradual as the hum started low. Station lights dimmed to evening, viewport swirling indigo outside. Inside, the jammer pulsed faint green on the shelf, next to taped drawings in the photocube. Ethan tested it with a data slate, signal scrambled, static crackling soft. Kaya brewed herb tea, mugs steaming between them. Saren's not done, but this buys time. Ethan sipped, steam curling up his face. Yeah, guess that's our plan. His free hand found hers on the table, squeeze brief but firm. Girls climbed into bunks, whispers starting across the divider. Mia tossed a glow sticker over. Here, moon for protection. Nora caught it, sticking it high, light blooming soft. Thanks, sister. Ethan adjusted the jammer dial, static humming stronger. Kaya hummed low, the tune weaving calm, pendant pulsing in rhythm. The pod settled, 4 breaths sinking against whispers outside. Morning cycle bright and slow. Ethan checked the jammer. Still green, motes outside, blinded. Kaya portioned breakfast roots, girls chattering over plates. School today. Careful, okay? Kaya ruffled their hair, worry creasing her eyes. Mia nodded fierce. We got this! No more shoves, maybe. Corridors to school felt watched. Ethan walked to them partway, eyes on vents. Moats dull now, jammed. Nora's skin stayed light, hand in Mia's loose and easy. At the hub, teachers scanned them in. Reports from yesterday flagged but paused. Torin lurked in the corner, glare darting away when Mia stared back. Kaya pulled Ethan aside in the lift back. That delay? We dig deeper? He nodded, toolkit shifting on his hip. Start with logs. Lattice hides more? Admin echoes lingered in their steps, Saren's accusation hanging like vent dust. But the pod waited. Jammer humming, herbs scenting, drawings taped proud. Whispers quieted behind sealed walls, heartbeats guarded. Saren paced his chamber later, holograms replaying the feed. His fist clenched, frost skin cracking faint. They'll slip, and I'll seal it. Vale reviewed the summons in his quarters, brow furrowed over data slates. Protocol 17's outdated. Time to push. Ethan sketched jammer upgrades that night. Parts spread wide. Kaya leaned in, finger tracing circuits. Stronger shield for us. Girls slept sound. Glow moons casting halos. The station spun, but inside the pod, bonds tightened like welded seams. Unseen, unbreakable. Ethan slipped into the maintenance alcove during his break, toolkit thudding soft against the grate. He pried open the terminal panel, fingers tapping haptic keys until the screen lit with lattice logs. Mood averages rolling in waves, quadrants flashing red spikes and blue dips. He leaned in closer, scrolling through timestamps that matched the girls' schedules. Kaya, you gotta see these numbers. Kaya crowded beside him in the tight space, her shoulder warm against his arm. What jumps out? Look, every giggle from the play ring lights up a red alert. He pointed at a sharp peak, finger hovering over the graph. She pulled her refugee badge from her pocket, thumb tracing the worn edges before plugging it in. This old key might still work. The terminal beeped approval, and archived footage filled the air. Kaya, years younger in a lab, adjusting dampener nodes that glowed steady under her touch. They stood silent as the clip played, her breath catching faint. Kaya pulled the badge free, hand dropping to her side. That younger me. She tuned the system to ease tensions at first. Ethan turned the feed off with a swipe. Tell me the rest. Ironite started small, like insurance for harmony between species. But the pushes grew. Crowds swayed without a clue. I left before it got worse. He placed his hand over hers on the badge, squeezed light. You chose to leave. That's everything. The alcove door slid open a crack. Mia squeezed through, toy shuttle in hand. Is that the bad song on the screen? Did it make Mommy's shuttle go away? Kaya knelt right there on the grate, pulling Mia into her arms. Songs don't crash anything, little one. Choices do, and we're making good ones now. Nora followed Mia in, holding out her crystal pendant, facets smooth from constant rubbing, her father's final gift before he challenged the lattice and disappeared. Mama, can you make it glow? Kaya took the pendant, humming a low note that vibrated soft. The crystal answered with a faint pulse of blue light. Ethan smiled small at the glow. That thing picks up your tune every time. Nora beamed, slipping the chain back around her neck. Daddy said it pushes bad stuff away. Station speakers activated across the decks. Saren's voice cutting through the hum. Public hearing set for Civic Core, their pod labeled Zone of Interest in bold alerts. Ethan checked his comm, the tag blinking red. They're putting us on blast. Kaya grabbed his sleeve. We get ready right away. In the lift heading up, neighbors pressed against the walls, staring at shoes or ceilings. No greetings exchanged. At the next stop, a tech named Reyes bumped Ethan's arm, slipping a data chip into his palm. Saren's gain boosts, 30% over limits. Charter violation. Ethan closed his fist around the chip, giving a quick nod before the doors opened. Back in the pod, he fed the chip into the terminal. Overrides pouring out, gain levels cranked far beyond safe. Kaya studied the numbers, hand on the screen edge. His fingerprints all over this power play. She moved to the sonic closet after the girls ate, leaving the door ajar. Her voice started unsteady, notes wobbling on the highs, then finding footing, building stronger with each repeat. "One more time. Hold the barrier," she whispered to herself between phrases. The girl sat outside the door, legs swinging. "That shield song sounds tough now." Kaya poked her head out, sweat beading on her forehead. "Practice builds the wall." Ethan knelt by the pod hatch, pulling mag coils and lock plates from his kit. He wired the upgrade in, bolts extending with a mechanical whine until the seal locked solid. "Walls hold firm. Hearts call the shots." Kaya stepped over, testing the new lock with a push. "Feels secure." He wiped his hands on a rag. "Buys us breathing room." At the play ring later, kids swarmed the holograms, fireflies darting everywhere. Ethan crouched by Nora at the edge. "Up for a quick chase?" Nora bounced on her toes. "Yes, lift me." He scooped her high, spinning as fireflies exploded around them. Her laughter pouring down, pendant whipping on its chain. Mia ran up next. "Me too." Laughter bounced off the bulkheads, carrying through the vents loud and free. In the pod that night, Ethan combined the chip data with the logs at the galley table. Graphs showing unnatural spikes, Saren's boost forcing the curves. He treated feelings like dials on a console. Kaya traced a line with her finger, all to keep his grip tight. Ethan pulled jammer parts from a drawer, coils heating as he soldered, capacitors clicking into place. He aimed the finished unit at a vent mote outside the viewport. The tiny light flickered out. The girls added crayon details to his node sketches, stars circling the diagrams. Nora set her pendant down beside the papers, the crystal pulsing along with Kaya's distant practice hum. Lift rides the next day stayed awkward. Neighbors shifting weight, avoiding eye contact. Ethan kept his hand on Kaya's back, steering her through the crowd. The maglock engaged with a satisfying thunk when they returned. Kaya poured herb tea, sliding a mug across the table, steam rising between them. "Hearing comes fast. We hit them with all this." Kaya wrapped her fingers around his on the mug. Play ring sounds drifted faint through the vents. Kids' voices slipping past any nets. Ethan spread fresh paper late, sketching therapy circuits and consent switches. Kaya leaned in close, adding notes in her neat handwriting, her hair brushing his cheek with each mark. "Put the relay here for opt-in." The girls dozed off, tangled together, glow moons lighting their faces soft. The pod felt solid, maglock shining, herbs filling the air with green scent. Reyes caught Ethan in the decks again. "Need deeper logs?" Ethan took the new chip. "Always." Kaya waited with polished songs. "My old work becomes our tool." The girls drew lattice maps in crayon, nodes crossed out, stars taking over. Nora tugged Ethan's sleeve at dinner. "Chase again soon?" "Tomorrow, promise." The maglock got a second check, bolts firm. They clinked mugs in quiet toast. Hearing alerts looped on screens. Proof piled high on the table. Kaya rested her head on Ethan's shoulder brief. "We've got the edge." Vents carried distant play laughs, untouched joy. Sketches grew detailed, Kaya drawing flow arrows, breath warm near his ear. "Consent toggle goes there." Girls signed the bottom with red crayon hearts. Saren reviewed failing feeds in his chamber, hands slamming the desk. "They hide, but the hearing exposes." Vale sent quiet messages to council allies. Audit plans forming. The jammer covered the whole quadrant now. Motes going dark one by one. Kaya pulled Ethan into a fast hug, foreheads touching. "For what we choose." Play rings shut for night, but the echoes hung on. Ethan added another lock layer, whine echoing satisfaction. He tucked the girls in, Nora handing over the pendant once more. "Hold for luck tonight." The crystal sat warm in his palm, pulse matching the station's spin. He passed it back at lights out, fingers ruffling her hair. Orbital night painted the viewport indigo deep. They sat side by side, hands linked loose. "We change the game tomorrow." Side by side. Civic core atrium doors parted with a pneumatic hiss that echoed off the high-vaulted ceiling, tiered benches rising in concentric rings like an ancient coliseum under the glare of stark overhead lights. Holographic projectors whirred to life from the central floor, bathing Ethan and Kaya in cold, pale blue glows at the accused podium, their shadows stretching long and jagged across the polished deck. Saren Dax stood rigid on the opposite platform, frost-pale skin pulled tight over sharp cheekbones, robes hanging crisp as he snapped his fingers, charts blooming midair in swirling red lines. Council observed the uncontrolled bleed from level 42, emotions spilling like ruptured conduits. Saren jabbed a finger at the graphs, spikes leaping high whenever the play ring feeds aligned. Ethan gripped the podium's edge hard, knuckles paling under the holographic wash, his boots planted wide on the deck plates. Kaya stood close enough for her silver blue arm to brush his sleeve, her fingers knotting together before she forced them flat against her side. Commander Vale pushed up from his front row bench, human build sturdy in his uniform, eyes narrowing as he swiped the air to zoom on embedded code strings. Saren's overrides flashing crimson. Dax, explain these private keys buried in your data. They don't belong in a public log. Saren's shoulders jerked back slight, frost creeping deeper along his jawline as he leaned over his platform rail. Minor artifacts, irrelevant to the core violation of interspecies tethering. Kaya stepped forward into the projector's beam, chin rising slow, her silver blue skin shimmering like polished alloy under the lights. She drew a deep breath that lifted her chest visible, then released a single clear note, pure resonance threading through the atrium, vibrating the air like a tuning fork struck true. Murmurs from the benches died instant. Audience members uncurled clenched fists, shoulders dropping as the note's calm washed over them. One older human rubbing his temples with a sigh of relief. Ethan watched her profile in the glow, his thumb rubbing slow circles on the podium wood, pride warming his chest despite the chill. The note faded gradual, leaving the atrium hushed under the projector's hum. That resonance, they label it unregulated threat, Hona, Kaya said, voice steady now, her fingers loosening from her pendant chain to point at the lingering echo in the graphs. Ethan keyed his data slate on the podium, jammer schematics exploding large in holographic layers. Nodes rewired in clean green lines, consent toggles pulsing opt-in blue. Take these same nodes, flip them to therapy circuits. Explicit consent only, no hidden dials. He traced a reroute path with his finger through the air, hand unwavering, even as the atrium lights flickered faint. Benches leaned forward, a few council members nodding slow, data slates glowing in their laps. Saren barked a sharp laugh, arms folding tight across his chest like armored plating. Sentimental human tinkering, as fragile as your emotional shields. Anida. The audience shifted uneasy on the hard benches, feet scraping deck, some rubbing arms as if chilled, others exchanging side glances with furrowed brows. An elderly Aurelian janitor shuffled up the central aisle, indigo skin wrinkled deep, mop handle gripped like a staff for support. He reached the witness mic, clearing his throat soft. Past those girls in the corridors. Calm settled over me like fresh air after a shift. No push, no pull, just natural peace. He nodded direct at Ethan and Kaya, eyes crinkling warm in the harsh light. Saren waved a dismissive hand, but the janitor's grip tightened on the mop, stance firm. The council head rapped a gavel on the high bench, wood echoing sharp. Recess called, full deliberation to follow. Atrium doors hissed open again, spilling them into the outer corridors where protesters clustered thick. Signs thrusting high under the dimmer hall strips. Consent, not coercion. Chants rolled low and rhythmic, fists pumping in waves as Ethan and Kaya threaded through. Ethan slipped his arm around Kaya's waist, pulling her close against the press. Planet Rise filtered through the Skybridge transparasteel ahead, washing everything in molten gold. Kaya leaned into his side, her hand finding his, fingers weaving tight, a silent anchor in the glowing light. We stood our ground in there. He squeezed back, thumb stroking her knuckles slow. Yeah, felt solid. Back through the pod hatch, the maglock thunked secure behind them. Girls scrambled up the divider bunks, knees bumping as they reached across the gap, small hands linking firm, A's heavy but sparkling. Mia yawned huge, tugging Nora closer. Dream about Big open doors tonight? Nora nodded sleepy, pendant settling between their clasped fingers. Same dream, flying through together. Ethan lingered in the galley doorway, hand resting on the jammer unit. Green light steady, his shoulders easing down inch by inch. Kaya joined him, head tilting to rest light on his upper arm. The empty atrium behind them powered down slow, holographic projectors dimming to standby ghosts, charts dissolving into faint sparkles on the deck. A lone maintenance drone whirred across the floor, sweeping stray confetti from the protesters' signs. Corridor protesters stacked their placards against the walls for the night cycle, voices dropping to excited murmurs. Steps lighter as they dispersed, a few slapping backs in quiet celebration. Skybridge Transper Steel still held the planet-rise afterglow, golden hues fading gradual to indigo. Ethan paused at the rail midway home, pulling Kaya to stand beside him, her hand warm in his, both leaning on the cool metal. That light feels like a reset. She smiled faint, fingers tracing idle patterns on the rail. Promise in the glow. Pod interior welcomed with herb scents and soft bunk lights. Girls' linked hands stayed clasped, even as breaths evened into sleep, fingers twitching in shared dream motions, doors creaking wide in their minds. Ethan brewed 2 mugs of tea in the galley, steam curling lazy under the low panels. Kaya accepted hers, fingers brushing his deliberate, lingering a second. The janitor's calm, real proof. He sipped slow, nodding, not alone anymore. Council chambers emptied gradual, benches creaking under shifting weight. Vale lingered at his seat, data slate open, overrides scrolling, his brow creased deep in thought. Saren stormed his private office adjacent, terminal slamming awake under his palm, frost spreading across the screen edges as he replayed the hearing feed. Atrium cleaners finished their rounds, one humming Kaya's single note under breath, posture relaxed, steps unhurried in the vast empty space. Protester groups broke into smaller clusters outside, signs tucked under arms, laughter mixing with plans, faces flushed with cautious hope. Skybridge lights dimmed to night cycle, planet below swirling vast indigo storms. Ethan and Kaya walked the final stretch hand in hand, swings matching the station's gentle spin. Pod quiet deepened, girls' breaths sinking soft across the divider. Ethan set the mugs in the recycler, arms slipping around Kaya's waist from behind, chin resting on her shoulder. Good day. She leaned back into him, hand covering his. The jammer hummed steady on the shelf, green light a quiet sentinel. Station klaxons detonated like artillery, red strobes slashing corridors in blood pulses, while the central atmospheric regulator seized with a metallic screech that rattled teeth. Council Officer Hale lunged for the Civic Corps emergency console, slamming the all-call button. Breach, hull puncture, ice crystals, choking scrubbers. Seal every section or we lose air in 90 seconds. In the main concourse, a mother screamed, "My kids, where are the masks?" While engineers sprinted past, boots hammering deck plates, one yelling back over the roar. Inner rings, now or freeze! Oxygen thinned audible, recyclers coughing frost as residents clawed at emergency lockers, masks snapping on with frantic clicks. Lattice nodes in the control alcoves exploded in chain overload, sparks showering consoles as raw panic waves hammered the station. In a jammed lift between decks 20 and 21, an Aurelian family slammed the walls, the father roaring, "It's in my head, get it out!" His wife crumpled beside him, sobbing uncontrollably, hands clawing her temples. "I can't! Make it stop!" A human teen in the corner retched, tears streaming. Fear, too much fear! The lift doors buckled inward under pressure, metal groaning like a dying beast. Ethan kicked the pod hatch so hard it rebounded, toolkit snatched midair as he vaulted into the corridor inferno. "Axis, hold the line!" Kaya snatched her pendant, sprinting the opposite direction, silver blue hair whipping. "Resonance chamber! Buy me time!" Neighbors hammered their doors from inside. "Air's dying! Open up!" Torin Dax pounded a collapsing bulkhead in residential sector 7, metal denting under his fists. Frost's skin splintering as blood smeared the panel. "Father, someone! The wall's closing!" Unfiltered terror clawed his chest raw. No lattice shield. His knees buckled. Breath ragged. Rescue drones screamed overhead, one tech shouting down the shaft. "Kid trapped! Cutters! Now!" Torn slid down the wall, nails scraping metal, eyes wild in the strobing red. Ethan crashed into engineering axis, vapor blasting like Arctic shrapnel, ice crystals embedding in his suit, visor cracking spider-thin as he wrenched conduits. "Backup lines, route or we're dead!" A tech beside him slipped on frost, skull cracking deck. "Coal, ice doubling every second." Ethan's palms seared open on scalding valves, blood mixing with frost, teeth bared in a snarl of pain. Kaya slammed the resonance chamber hatch, locking it against pounding fists outside, voice ripping into the PI mic, songs clashing against panic waves. "Hear me! Let the fear flow out!" Corridor cams showed residents freezing mid-sob, one man gasping. "It's lifting! Keep going!" But the overload surged back harder, her voice cracking on a high note, blood flecking the mic. Mia and Nora yanked open the pod's reinforced hatch, masks fogging as they hauled neighbors inside. "In here! Safe air!" A father stumbled through carrying his limp child. "She's not breathing! Help!" Mia pressed a spare mask to the kid's face. "Breathe for me! Come on!" Nora shoved blankets, hands shaking but relentless. Saren barricaded council chambers, fingers flying over forbidden overrides, triggering a catastrophic lattice pulse. "Drown them! Break the station!" His aide lunged for the console. "Sir, that'll kill us all!" Saren backhanded him away, pulse launching, graph spiking into lethal black. Ethan seized the regulator core valve, palms blistering to bone on superheated metal, air systems screaming as he forced the wheel. "Cycle! Damn you, cycle!" The station shuddered, violent, deck plates buckling, then regulators roared alive, air blasting warm in explosive gusts. Ethan collapsed against the console, blood dripping from shredded hands. "It's holding." Alarms choked to silence, red strobes dying to flickering amber, Kaya's final note rasping over speakers, Ethan's toolkit clattering shut in the sudden hush. A tech stared at the stable gauges. "You bought us minutes, maybe." Engineering medics swarmed Ethan, wrapping burns as he staggered up. "Pod, girls, now!" Kaya sagged against the resonance console, voice shredded, technicians forcing water past cracked lips. Pulse, fracturing. Torrens rescuers breached the panel with plasma cutters, hauling him out limp, blanket thrown over, his body shaking violent. "Real, all real." Pod neighbors streamed out gasping, Mia and Nora at the hatch, Mia yelling, "Dad, hurry!" Saren's aide fled the chamber, Saren alone with dead screens, fists splintering frost across the console. "They can't!" Ethan limped corridors, residents parting, some grabbing his sleeve grateful. "You saved my family." Kaya met him at junction collapse, legs giving out, Ethan catching her mid-fall. "It's cracking apart." He crushed her close, bloodied hands gentle. "You held the line." Torrin locked eyes with Ethan from stretcher, nod trembling, raw gratitude breaking through. Pod hatch stood open, girls rushing into Ethan's legs. "You fixed the air!" Saren triggered chamber lockdown, pacing feral, frost flaking from clenched fists like snow. Lights flickered back white, recyclers thundering normal. Ethan carried Kaya inside, girls piling, family collapsing together, breasts ragged but alive. Engineering logs screamed stable, techs screaming victory. Ethan keyed report one-handed, blood-smearing terminal. Kaya rasped water down. Pulse shattered. Corridors filled with stunned cheers, fear's chains snapping link by link. Pod seal, tangle on the bunk, Ethan's burned arm over Kaya, girls buried between. Toolkit bloodied on shelf, crisis balanced on knife edge. Suspense humming in the silence. Emergency lights strobed red across the resonance chamber bulkheads, casting jagged shadows that danced like flames as Ethan limped through the hatch, his blistered palms leaving smears on the frame. Kaya slumped against the console inside, silver blue skin slick with sweat. Voice a ragged whisper over the humming panels. Technicians hovered around her, one pressing a hydration pack to her lips. Ethan, the pulse. It's broken. She reached for him weak, fingers trembling as they found his arm, her grip slipping before tightening desperate. He knelt beside her quick, ignoring the burn in his hands, forehead pressing to hers brief. You held the whole station? Rest now. But alarms chirped sudden from the cracked data cores behind them. Surge damage splitting the housings open, private logs spilling across auxiliary screens in cascading code. Ethan's eyes widened at the text, Saren's entries detailing amplified lattice signals, dialed to lock his council seat forever through endless emotional loops. Look at this, his play for eternity. A technician gasped, hand flying to the console. That's treason. Shut it down? Commander Vale stared at his personal terminal in the adjacent council annex, the confession logs mirroring across his screen. Jaw locking tight as words scrolled. Amplified waves to bind voters in loyalty fogs. His fist slammed the desk, chair scraping back harsh. We were this close to chains. Permanent. An aide burst in. Data slate clutched. Sir, bulkhead collapse in residential. Dax is pinned. Vale bolted up, uniform jacket snagging on the chair, face hardening as he grabbed his comm. Rescue teams, double time. Mia and Nora led a rescue squad through the twisted residential corridors, small boots splashing in melting ice puddles, flashlights cutting the dim like knives. This way. He's under there. Mia pointed at the collapsed bulkhead, metal groaning under stress. Nora tugged a rescuer's sleeve. Hear him. Weak knocks. The team fired up plasma cutters, sparks exploding in bursts that lit their faces orange, metal screaming as they sliced through. Saren lay pinned beneath, leg twisted under debris, pride crumbling in his pale features. Get me out! The cutters bit deeper, metal buckling with an explosive pop that showered sparks. Saren dragged free, gasping as medics swarmed. His eyes met the girl's, frost skin cracking further. Order requires sacrifice. Nora stepped close, small hand on his arm firm. Family doesn't. Mia nodded fierce beside her, fists balled at her sides. The rescuers pausing silent, tools humming down. Ethan stormed into the med bay annex where Saren lay strapped to a scanner bed, monitors beeping erratic around his pinned leg. Guards flanked the door, but Ethan pushed past, face inches from Saren's. You crave control. Dialed the lattice to own us all. Got fear instead. That's on you. Saren turned away sharp, but his hands clenched the bed rails white, voice cracking. Stability. Demanded it. A medic intervened quick. Easy, legs shattered. Ethan backed off slow, chest heaving, but eyes locked unyielding. Kaya sat up in her med cot nearby. Data slate in lap, fingers tapping a full confession of her lattice days. Voice recorder humming as she spoke. I tuned the nodes early, smoothed edges they said, but I offer now. Dismantle everyone I touched. A council observer nodded grave, slate syncing her words. Recorded. This seals the audit. Kaya leaned back exhausted, pendant pulsing faint against her chest, tears pricking unshed. Council reconvened in emergency session amid the repaired civic core, benches half empty from the crisis, holograms flickering unstable as Vale stood tall at the head. Motion for immediate arrest of Saren Dax, full lattice audit, no delays. Murmurs erupted chaotic, one Aurelian counselor slamming her fist. Seconded. He nearly killed us all. Gavel banged twice, echoes booming, guards marching in heavy boots. Cheers exploded through the mending corridors as Saren got cuffed in the medbay, his own lattice feeds going dark with a final spark pop. Residents clustered at viewports, fist pumping. He's done! Free at last! A human tech hugged a stranger. No more hidden poles! Saren hung his head in the restraints, frost melting to sweat, pride exploding inward, silent. Ethan lifted Kaya onto a hovering stretcher in the med bay, girls running alongside as it glided corridors, small hands gripping the rails tight, knuckles white. Mia panted beside. "Mama, you okay?" Nora clutched the other side. 4 beats. In sync. Ethan pushed steady, burned hands aching but eyes soft on them all. Station lights steadying brighter around. Medbay doors hissed shut behind, but cheers filtered through vents. Residents banging panels in rhythm. A passing council aide saluted quick. "Heroes, all of you." Vale reviewed arrest docs in core, signature slashing digital ink. Jaw set but eyes relieved. End of an era. New charter incoming. Bulkhead teams cleared final debris in residential. Cutters winding down. Workers wiping sweat, sharing nods. Close call, but held. Saren rattled in his cuffs en route to holding, guards gripping arms firm, his mutters lost in the cheers. Sacrifice, wasted, stretcher hummed homeward, girls skipping to keep pace, Mia's hand slipping to Ethan's. Home now. Family. Pod hatch welcomed open, maglock disengaging soft. Inside herbs scented strong, drawings taped proud. Ethan eased Kaya to the bunk, girls piling close. 4 heartbeats thumping sync, drama's explosion fading to warm pulse. Council broadcast pinged station-wide, Vale's voice steady. Arrest confirmed. Audit begins at dawn. Corridors erupted anew, fists banging overhead pipes, cheers rolling like thunder. A neighbor poked head in the pod. You did this. Thank you. Saren's holding cell sealed with a clang, lattice silent, his pacing frantic, frost shattering on the floor. Stretcher folded away, family tangle deepening on the bunk. Ethan's arm over all, breaths mingling. We made it, somehow. Girls whispered dreams across, hands linked. Explosions echo settling to peace. Station-wide broadcasts crackled alive across every viewport and panel in the Concord spire. The new emotional consent charter scrolling in glowing gold letters. Opt-in residence protocols, transparent node maps, mandatory annual audits flashing bold. Civic core atrium, walls freshly patched from the crisis, benches wiped clean, hosted the simple ceremony under soft daylight, cycle lights. Rows of folding chairs filled with residents, shoulder to shoulder. No holograms, just people breathing the same recycled air. Ethan stepped onto the low wooden dais first, uniform patched but proud, hand extended back to help Kaya up, her silver blue fingers weaving tight with his, pendant catching the glow warm. Mia and Nora bounded ahead in matching jumpsuits stitched with human tool icons and Aurelian wave symbols, small boots thumping the platform. Torrin Dax sat bandaged on a front bench, leg in a cast, his eyes fixed on the dais, the raw absence of artificial calm making every breath feel sharp and real, strangely freeing as he shifted uncomfortable but nodded slow when Ethan glanced his way. Kaya's voice rose recovered and clear, leading the oath, resonant notes threading the atrium like gentle wind. We vow to make this threshold our home. Ethan joined in steady baritone, hands squeezing hers. Ions shared only by consent. The girls piped unison high and piping. And our differences the bond that keeps us whole. Lights brightened full daylight cycle with a soft hum, applause rolling like gentle thunder. Residents rising from chairs, clapping rhythmic, some wiping eyes quick. A human engineer slapped Ethan's back hard. You earned this, Cole. An Aurelian neighbor hugged Kaya tight. Resonance. Chosen. Neighbors approached the dais in waves, small gifts pressed into hands. Hydro trays blooming fresh greens. Compact toolkits gleaming. Crayon drawings rolled careful. Mia accepted a shuttle model, eyes wide. For our fleet. Nora took a crystal similar to hers, pendant pulsing faint in response. Matches Daddy's. Later on, the sky bridge at orbital sunset, planet below swirling indigo and gold. Ethan and Kaya watched the girls chase real fireflies released from the biodome, tiny lights darting between their laughter. Ethan slipped his hand into Kaya's slow fingers, interlacing, natural. No lattice to read the moment, only the quiet certainty pulsing between palms. Family. Built. Inetuan. She leaned into his side, head on his shoulder. Crossed the threshold. For good. Atrium ceremony wrapped gradual, chairs folding away, residents lingering in clusters, voices buzzing excited plans. Vale signed the charter final on a data slate, stamp echoing, soft. Law now? Consent first. Torin tested his crutches at the edge, firefly jar in hand, releasing a few more, watching them swirl. Feels honest. Skybridge transparent steel framed the sunset vast, fireflies escaping the dome to drift outside, girls' giggles echoing faint through the vents. Ethan pulled Kaya closer, arm around her waist. No more shadows. Pod welcomed them home. Maglock disengaging soft, drawings updated with the oath words in crayon, hydro trays overflowing greens. Mia taped the new shuttle model beside the photo cube. Our station now! Neighbors knocked gentle, more gifts, tea blends, repair patches. An elderly janitor from the hearing bowed deep. Peace, real peace. Council broadcasts looped the oath recording, voices overlapping, stations syncing in quiet celebration. Lights held steady bright, no strobes, no alarms. Torin hobbled the corridors later, crutches clicking, stopping at a viewport to watch fireflies dance, smile cracking small. Skybridge emptied slow, sunset fading to stars. Ethan and Kaya lingered last, hands linked loose. Chosen, every bit. Girls burst from the biodome access, fireflies in jars. Look, ours to keep. Pod interior glowed warm, family settling around the table. Oath words framed fresh on the wall. Ethan ruffled Mia's hair. Threshold crossed. Kaya hummed low, pendant pulsing with the girls. Neighbors' voices filtered through vents, cheers distant but joyful. The station spun steady in the void, indigo planet below vast, fireflies swirling inside and out, light chosen, not imposed. Ethan closed the hatches soft, maglock thunking secure. Home! 4 heartbeats synced in the quiet. Family built by choice, not blood. Threshold oath alive in every breath.